Hi, it's Steve again. I want to talk with you a little bit about the transition for second generation business owners. You had a family member, whether it's a parent, father, mother, grandfather, uncle, but you find yourself sitting in the seat of following up and running a business that somebody else started. On the one hand, it's a great opportunity. You didn't have to pay all those dues. You didn't have to give your blood, sweat, and tears every day to make it happen. In some ways, you, like me, I was able to benefit from all the 55 years, 50 years before I came in that my dad had literally worked from before daylight till after dark. Building what he's built. So I didn't have to do any of that. I basically came in secondhand, and there's a lot of issues around that. My father was from a different generation. He knew how to make money, but more importantly, he knew how to save money. And I know that's one of the biggest differences with my generation. I wish I saved more early on. I've learned the hard way about the key to saving for my businesses. So when he was writing every check, handwriting every check, knowing every penny that was coming out of the companies, the question is, how can you scale that? But I don't know that scaling is always the best thing. But my father knew every penny that came in. He knew every penny that come out. He didn't depend on an accountant or a finance department or a CFO. He was on it every day. Now, could he have done that as it scaled? I don't know. We have an admin department right now that thankfully my daughter is actually managing and running for all three companies. So she is in it and on it every day, overseeing both the human resources, the payables, receivables. She's really got a good grasp on her finances. But again, I inherited something that was already going. Now, most second generation that come in, just because of the generational differences, you're going to have different ideas, different input. My dad was very good about letting me and my daughter, who'd be third generation, use technology to our benefit. Years ago, before actually back, my dad started the business in the 60s, 1960s. He would take pictures of equipment and take it to get the 1 hour photos done and then send the pictures overnight. When we were able to post pictures online of our equipment and our videos, it changed everything. And you probably know, if you've been around a long time, his long distance telephone bill was extremely high. And that's got to where I don't think there's long distance charges anymore. There's international. But he cut out all of his FedEx having to send overnight, or mailing and waiting 3, 4, 5 days. Now everything is immediate. People can see our equipment, pictures all the way around it. We shoot videos, we talk about it. People get to know us. So with this generation, it's much, much different than it was in my dad's generation. And I'm assuming that's the case with you. So there's an odd situation that you're able to be put into this living organism of a business, and you respect everything that's happened to get it to this point. But then you also have some other ideas to kind of make a turn, put your own fingerprints on it. You're from a different generation. You may think about marketing differently. You may think about hiring differently. You may think about managing teamworks differently. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not good or bad. It's just different. I look at my dad, and he had all contract labor. Everything was 1099s, which was great. It worked well. We have a mixture of 1099s and W-2 employees. But a lot of times, and that was a big change for my dad, because we could count on. I knew what my expenses were. And with the W-2, your overhead is a little bit different the way from a strategic standpoint. So as the second generation coming in, you want to honor what's been built, and you want to maintain, you want to grow, build upon what's been built. But I think you've been gifted in a different way than your first generation, than the founder. So I think it's very important that you put your unique fingerprint on the business. And I think there's a danger if you come in and change too much, if you change too quickly, it can cause some problems. But if you're kind of consistent, or if you got a methodology about your change and you don't do too much at one time. So you really need a strategy the way you do it. But if you do that, I think it helps with that transition from the founder to you, because you're personalizing, you're building on, you're honoring, respecting what's happened, but yet you're a different person with different skills, abilities, and you connect with people differently. So I think it's important to keep some consistency, but then put your own flavor to it as you go. And I remember when Dad first stepped out, I think the first year I just smiled and nodded and learned. I was afraid, probably 6 months to a year before I made a decision. And he had given me pretty much freedom to do some marketing differently. And then my daughter came in. I thought I was a tech guy. And when my daughter came, she would whip through things. I'm like, how in the world, Sarah, how did you know to do that? And she's like, Dad, I've been doing that since middle school. And she's 30, in her early 30s now. And she has put her fingerprint on what we're doing. So, from my father passing down, I kept as much as I could of what he did. I changed very little. It's just some methods of marketing. I was a little more tech than what my dad did. My daughter's even more so. So it's kind of neat to see that work all the way through the process. So what I encourage you to do today is think about what can you keep, maintain, honor, and build on from the founder. And then what are you doing that's a little bit different, that puts your fingerprints on the business? Because it matters. If you're running it, it's going to have your personality. It's going to have your spin on things. And a lot of times we do it without thinking about it. So what I'm asking you to do is think about it and try to put some strategy together about how you will continue to make that happen. And you'll continue to personalize it to where it's yours. So then the next generation, you can either pass it down to a child, son or daughter, or you've got it packaged up and ready to sell in the market when you decide to move on. So thought for the day is, you've stepped in, you didn't found the company, you didn't have to pay your dues, but you are coming in. How can you respect everything that's done in the past, but yet enjoy the present, but kind of make the future look a little more like you than the founder? Let's talk. You've got my email below, you've got my phone numbers. You can schedule a Calendly. Love to help you any way I can to make you be the best that you can be.